What's going on, YouTube? This is your boy Heru Heinous, and this is another edition of Facts Over Feelings. And let's leave your feelings at the door so we can get to the facts. And I want to get right into it. And I don't have good news, brothers and sisters. You know me. I would rather give you good news, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. There is a silver lining, and I'll tell you exactly what that is at the end of this video. But let's get right into it. First we have to take a look at what the coronavirus is and and we can garner a lot from the name. The name corona is Latin for crown. And they say this because of the spikes that come out of the surface of the virus. It makes it look like a crown. Okay, this is particularly one of the reasons why on your Corona beer you see a crown, because it's Latin for crown. Okay, and with that being said, we have to understand that we have a lot of arguments being pushed from different factions, and it's more, it can be articulated nothing more than the blame game. All right, and it's a blame game from one administration saying, okay, we should have been more prepared if this administration would have took the necessary measures and would have done more to ensure that we didn't have inadequate testing at this point in time when we have this virus as severe as they make it out to be. Now, what's wrong with that statement? Now, there is some truth to what Trump is saying. Now, mind you, this is facts over feelings. Why is that? Now, let's take a look at it. Now, one argument by scientists will be like, oh, this coronavirus is much more serious than the H1N1, even though that was a coronavirus. All right. Now they're saying the severity of this one doesn't even match up to the one that we're experiencing right now. Now, numbers would suggest otherwise, but let's just continue. Now, the fact of the matter is that when you take a look at that, there's a historical example to prove otherwise. And what was that historical example? That historical example is Edward Jenner. Edward Jenner in 1796, he took a young boy who was suffering from smallpox, an 8-year-old young boy by the name of Phipps, last name Phipps, right? And he took some lesions from a female who worked with cows, because they found out that females who work with cows, okay, were immune to smallpox. All right, and then he applied those lesions to the little boy, and then eventually, after 7 or 8 days, on the 9th day, I believe, he felt perfectly fine, and he started to recover, make a full recovery. Now, we all know that smallpox and cowpox is from the same virus family. Okay, and we also know that smallpox is way more virulent than cowpox. So this argument that they're saying that, oh, this doesn't even compare, this is way more virulent and a lot more deadly than the H1N1, even though it hasn't taken too many lives globally and collectively. But although, like I said, for each live loss it matters, because that's somebody's son, daughter, mother, grandmother, aunt, uncle, who whatever. So we do get that. We're not trying to marginalize the issue, but we're just comparing, okay, and we're nullifying an argument that is presented by the scientific community, which we must do. You must know that. All right. Now, this is what we have to understand. Okay, when we're talking about this virus, this is something that they have been articulating, something that they have been refining for at least 100 years. How do we know that? If any administration they need to be blaming, they need to be blaming Woodrow Wilson, because he was the president in 1919 when the Spanish influenza broke out. Now, let's take a look at before we get off into that, let's take a look at the 3 groups of influenza strains that we're most familiar with. That'd be influenza A, influenza B, and influenza C. Now, influenza A and influenza B are the ones that primarily affect human beings, okay? And influenza A out of that is the one that they have been refining. All right. Now, there's 2 subgroups of influenza A. Now, remember, we talked about H1N1. We're going to find out what the H1 and the N1 is really all about. Now, H1 and N1, the scientists have found they have identified 16 groups in H and 9 groups in N. And H1, H2, and H3 affect humans the most. And N1 and N2 affect humans the most out of the N group. That's how you get H1N1 or H2, N2, etc. All right. But we're dealing with H1N1. All right. And what is H out of that? H is hemagglutinin. All right. Or hemagglutinin. All right. Okay. And we see that. And what is the hemagglutinin? Now, hemagglutinin is heme, as you know, blood, and for blood to agglutinate means for it to clump together. All right, therefore you get hemagglutinin. All right, and then what is the N? N is neuraminidase. It's an enzyme. As you see, anything that ends in ASE, as we know, is an enzyme. So you have neuraminidase. Now, neuraminidase is actually what's called an antigen determinant. Okay, so what is an antigen determinant? An antigen determinant is something that begins to invoke the immune system. And depending on what neuraminidase or what enzyme you use, it can determine how virulent the virus can become. And this is particularly one of the reasons why when you get your flu shot, you get sick, because they use that the neuraminidase, and that's what activates your blood system. Remember, we called it an antigen determinant. It's what begins to activate your B cells and your T cells to alert them like, look, I see a virus, specifically the B cell, because it alerts, its specific job is to alert the body when it sees an antigen, or obviously a foreign body, a foreign invader that's inside of your body, and it sees those antigens on the virus to obviously alert the body that there is a foreign presence inside of the body. Okay, is what I mean or intending to say. So what happens is that you have that form, and we've also have to understand that there have been many forms of the coronavirus, for, like I said, being played on us this whole time. Okay, because when you go get a flu shot, you will get, it's standard to get the H1N1 alongside any flu shot. That's standard. So what do we know about the H1N1? Like we've already determined, that's a form of the coronavirus family, along with the coronavirus that we're seeing today, which they claim is more severe. Now let's go back to 2002 when we had the SARS case come out in China, 2002, 2003. All right. And I believe it was the virologist in China. His name was Malik. I don't remember his last name, but his name was Malik, if you want to look it up. So he was the virologist that had discovered it. And what they had discovered was that there is this dish in Gongyeong province. I'm sorry if I destroyed that name, but my Chinese ain't all that good. But Gongyeong province is where this dish is a specialty. The rich pay for an absurd amount of money for the specialty. And what is a specialty? It has some sort of chrysanthemum leaves, I believe, and it also has slices of cat. The civet cat, CIVET, which is a cat that is found in Africa, Southern Europe, and in Asia. Okay, so they slice up this cat along with snake and these chrysanthemum leaves, and they serve this dish. Okay, and SARS happened to break out. Then the first person that was recorded with the disease happened to be, I guess, one of the chefs or the cook that was handling the animal. All right, now, according to that virologist who had discovered it, he said that if you cook it properly, the virus will be destroyed, but obviously handling the wild animal puts you in contact with with SARS. And then so what they did was they took the SARS virus and then tried to inject it into chickens and pigs and see whether or not it had came from those animals, but there was no immune response. Okay, until they had actually took the cat, and then obviously they found that the SARS was present in that cat. Okay. All right, and what is SARS? Like we determined, SARS is severe acute respiratory syndrome, another form of the coronavirus. You want more? 2012, MERS, Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. Now, they had found this virus, this coronavirus, another form of the coronavirus. They found this coronavirus in cattle. They assume because it started in Saudi Arabia. All right, and spread to other parts along those regions. And they have found this virus in camels and bats. Okay, now, but we all know the underplay for the overplay. We all know that this is a virus that they have been refining, because then you go back to, like we said, we go back to 1919, influenza A, another form of the coronavirus. Okay, this was a part of this was a swine flu, as they suggested that it was, or were leaning towards that it possibly was the swine flu, or it was or it came from the avian flu, or a cross of both, avian being birds. All right, now we all know that the H1N1 was supposedly a new form of the swine flu, a new form of the coronavirus, right? Where it was a mixture of human genes, pig genes, and bird genes. Okay, while incubating inside of the pig, and then somehow got human contact, and it spread because humans had not seen this form of the coronavirus before. How did that happen? How do we know stuff like that happens? Because we know about what's called xenotransfusions, where they used to infuse animal blood into humans to see the effect. And who was the first one to do that? It was a guy by the name of I believe it was Isaac something. It was in 1667. That was the date. In 1667, and he injected lamb's blood in a 15-year-old. Okay? That's what you need to know. And they've been doing it ever since. Right now, the progress that's made with xenotransfusion, what they know is about the pig. The pig can be genetically engineered to hopefully provide the medical industry with an ample supply of blood, if you will. But when have you ever known the medical industry to want to help people out? But anyways, their idea is that because a pig's blood is similar to humans. Obviously, it's not exact. But the fact of the matter is that the size of the red blood cells is almost the same. Okay, the structure of the hemoglobin is almost the same, and the lifespan of a red blood cell is almost the same, which in human beings is about 120 days. Okay, but they can genetically engineer it so that it can be the O type or O negative blood, which is the universal donor. Okay. Now, this is one thing we have to understand, that, when we take a look at blood types A, B, and O, that there is not too much difference between A, B, and O, and the fact that they are the polypeptides, or the amino acid chain, the amino acids that make up the molecules that rise off the surface of the blood cell, have a sugar attached to it, and the sugar that's attached to A is different from the so you have this protein chain, and then so for the antigen A, that sugar looks different from the sugar that comes off the molecule of antigen B, and then O has both of those molecules, but it just doesn't have the sugars. That's why sugar is vitally important. Like we talked about, that's why diabetes is the #1 metabolic illness in the world, because they've been manipulating the sugar through your junk food for a long time. Brothers and sisters, catch up. Okay? That's what you need to know. All right. And then if we have to go over blood one more time for you to understand that those groups, there are hundreds, if not those in the Encyclopedia Britannica stated, those hundreds of groups break down into even more groups, where you have millions of antigens on your blood, on the blood surface, on the surface of the blood cell. Okay, but it's just that antigens A, antigen B, and antigen O are the ones that encourage the biggest immune response. So it doesn't mean that you're just specifically, your blood type is B, A positive, B positive, A negative, B negative, AB negative, AB positive, and O negative and O positive. It's just the fact that those are the blood groups that caused or garnered the heaviest reaction from your immune system. That's what you need to know. All right. So what I'm trying to inform you guys of is that they've been refining this virus for a very long time. And that's why when Trump said that there should be measures in place so that we don't have such an inadequate testing system, he's technically right. And this is what I'm telling you, is that if you've ever had the flu shot, and like we talked about before, the H1N1 is standard in your flu shot. If you've ever had, acquired the flu from someone who had the flu shot and gotten sick, and then you got sick, that's called herd immunity. That means that when they bring out these tests, which they will, like they said, what did they tell you? They said that it will be many more people that are infected with the coronavirus once we get the test. And they're right, because you already have it. And you know what's going to make you sick? When you take the vaccine. What is a vaccine? It is a weakened form of a virus, attenuated in scientific terms. Attenuated means weakened form of the virus. And what's going to be in there to amplify or to cause or garner an immune reaction? That neuraminidase. Okay? The neuraminidase, it will be very virulent. It will cause you to get sick. And you will get sick. But the mysticism behind it all is that you're going to think that it was floating in the air. You couldn't stop it. Oh my God, I had to wash my hands. No, you already have it in you. The average healthy body has hundreds of viruses and bacteria inside your body. There is no cure for the common cold, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. It is your immune system's ability to learn the virus or the bacteria. Now, mind you, this is one of the things. A virus isn't even technically called, has a cell body. It's actually called particles. Because it's on average, 100 to 500 times smaller than bacteria. They have to use an electron microscope just to see it, if they even can see it. They have to use some form of dyes to force it to clump together so that they actually can see it. And the coronavirus lets off this orange glow like the sun or the corona or an aura, supposedly. And that's another reason why they call it the coronavirus. Come on, bro. You know we don't do no surface level shit here. But I am upset because they have us in a deep seat of confusion. We got children, man. And then, like we said, what's going to happen is when they give you that shot, which most people will be lined around the corner to receive, it's a wrap. If not, they're going to make it mandatory. Once people get sick, once the vast majority of people get sick, which they will get sick, they're going to make it mandatory. And it's going to implode. There will be an explosion, unlike you have never seen before. Remember I told you about the end game, brothers and sisters? This is it. They wasn't waiting on your timeline. They wasn't waiting on the end that you thought and how it was going to happen. This is going along. This is what they call divine providence. They've been waiting on their plans. This is what like I said, they have been articulating, they have been refining this agent for a long time. They excel in biological and chemical warfare. They test it all the time. If you take a look at a new movie that was out called Dark Waters, and the DuPont talked about how they champion, making chemicals so that it could ease the life of Americans. And they use Teflon, to coat our pots and pans to cook with. Okay, when they was coating their tanks with it. All right, dumping fluoride in our water, testing us to see how we will react to it. These are the people you're dealing with. We all know about the Tuskegee experiments. We know about in 1950 how they were dumping malaria-infected mosquitoes over the coast of Georgia. These are the people you are dealing with. I got a son, bro. Y'all just don't understand, man. This makes me upset because we don't know science. We don't have a background and we don't have a mentality where we question to see, this is the one reason why they can get away with it, because they had already set the foundation with religion. We look towards something that we cannot see in order to solve our problems. So that already lays the foundation. When they come and present a weapon that we cannot see, we become hysterical. We're frustrated. We're at a loss, in terms of what measures to take, because it's hard to fight something you can't see, if not damn near impossible. Every time I look at my son, man, I know I have to do something. So, like we talked about in 2012, you had the Middle East respiratory syndrome. We have this coronavirus right now. You had H1N1. You had the swine flu. All these are variations of the coronavirus, which means what? Generationally speaking, if you have a woman who bears a child and she had the coronavirus or happened to survive it, had some form of the coronavirus, she passed her immunity down to her child. There's no way after 100 years, nobody ain't got the coronavirus. I would be waiting to see if once they do the test, who ain't got it. That's what you need to know. You are a sheep being led to the slaughter. And I hate to use that analogy because then we talked about, what did we talk about in the last video? That's what they've made us though. They have had us unwittingly participate in their rituals. And you will voluntarily go to your demise. So that's what I'm letting you know, brothers and sisters. This is basically the end game. And the silver lining is that now you know a little bit more. Now you know that this is a biological, biological and chemical weaponry that they are adept at, and that they have been refining for the last 100 years. So there is truth to Trump's statement that they knew that this was a variation of the virus. And then so we already took a historical example with Edward Jenner in 1796 that established that if you have a virus in the same family, more than likely it will work for that virus that is a part of the same family group. It worked with smallpox and from cowpox. Okay, so that's what you need to know, man. That's like I tell people all the time, man. They've been going to war with you ever since they put these processed foods together, destabilizing the body and the sugar, how important sugars are, because even the sugars determine your blood group, as we have seen. The different type of sugars will determine if you are, blood type A or B, or A and B, if you have both of those antigens. Okay? And this is what we have to understand. Even the blood being made up of like, I believe 3 layers of glycolics, and you have the lipid bilayer, and then you also have it made up of those proteins. But sugars is very important in the makeup of your blood, extremely important. So when they tell you to calm on the junk food, you have to understand that that's exactly what the food has been used as weapons. Everyone knows that. And then now the engineering of this virus that has been, like I said, refined for at least 100 years. So now that they know the vast majority of the population has they got records. They know that the vast majority have taken flu shots. And then they live off of then from that, they go off of the concept of herd immunity, which means that if there's a person that's sick, more than likely they're going to infect someone else. It will become contagious, because it is extremely contagious. And if we know that every flu shot has contained the coronavirus, the H1N1, then you have it. So brothers and sisters, relieve yourself of the fear of having it. You have it. I have it. You have the coronavirus in you. You have some strain, and you believe, and trust me, their test is going to be a broad test. It's just going to be the coronavirus. I can guarantee it. So if you've ever had the flu, if any one of you in your life have ever had the flu, you have the coronavirus. Get out of your head that you're going to be negative. You're going to be positive. So now you know that you shouldn't be scared. You should already know my body has it in check, because that's the basis of immunology. That's the basis of your immune system, is that once your immune system learns something, it keeps it in check. Because we talked about those three form of leukocytes, remember? Granulocytes, monocytes, and leukocytes. All right, and the leukocytes, have some of them turn into memory cells, which, because we know the blood cells white blood cells don't live too long. All right, some for days, sometimes hours, sometimes weeks, but that's about it. So they always have to be made in the bone marrow. That's how you get the T and the B. The B stands for bone marrow cells, and the T stands for, because the T cells are matured in the thymus gland. All right? So that's very important for your understanding. And those leukocytes, like we said, are sometimes create, or, for the most part, creates memory cells, and they last for years. Okay, so when you come into contact with the wild virus, your body already knows what to do. The immunological response is already, everything is already in play. Your system knows how to take care of itself. But yet what you're going to do, because you're driven by fear, is go get a virulent form that trust me, is going to cause hell on your body that you may not recover from. And how will it be able to do that? Because you already have it in you. And so we have to understand that bacteria and viruses learn. They are living systems. Okay? When it learns how to defeat the host, you better believe you will die from it. Right now, it doesn't know how to defeat you. That's where the silver lining lies. You have it already. It doesn't know how to defeat you. But when that active chemical, or what they call that antigen determinant, goes in the form of neuraminidase, that enzyme begins to wreak havoc on your body and amplify or make the virus more virulent, you're in some trouble. You're in trouble. So like they said, I heard a couple YouTubers and they're right. Don't take nothing that you don't need. Because more than likely, if you tested positive for it, which you will, just already be ready for that. If you go get a test, you may test, more than likely, I'm banking that you're going to test positive for it. Because it's going to be a broad range test, just like how when your baby gets his shots, they get combination shots. Okay, measles, mumps, rubella. Come on, man. Then they go back for booster shots. So these tests, you better believe they acting like, oh, well, this is specific, it's a test. No, it's not. No, it's not. I guarantee you, they're going to make this real because they already know that it's real. They already been doing this for about 100 years now, brothers and sisters, refining this biological agent. Okay? That's what you need to know. And my heart is heavy, brothers and sisters, as I'm telling you, I wanted to wait and see if there were individuals, I've been busy, like I said before, this put a damper on a lot of things. I was trying to get my car fixed, and mechanic won't even call me back. This is Muffler Man. It's a reputable institution, supposedly. They've shut down. Half my city shut down. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is, what's been going on across the country. Now people can't get things done. Who do you think this affects? Who's really, is China really affected by this war? Or is it the common man and woman in America? You see what I'm saying? You see, you never even know if they've been lacing the food with it. If you go to Walmart, most of the food, especially the seafood, comes from China. All right? Trust me. You may already have it in you. That's what you need to know. This is facts over feelings. This is a fact. So that's what you need to understand. Brace yourself for that. But understand the beauty of the immune system is that obviously your immune system has already dealt with it and already has it in check. That's your silver lining. That's immune system 101. You have to understand there is no, if the coronavirus is called the common cold, know that they've told you this in science class. There is no cure for the common cold. Your immune system has to do the work. It is nothing that man can give you to help you. The immune system is a great power. And what did they tell Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility. Make sure you take care of yourself, brothers and sisters. Make sure that you don't become too overwhelmed that you're not able to see what is in front of you, which is the truth. Remember what we said, the truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. You merely just have to get out of the way so it can defend itself. The beauty of this organism is that much of the work has already been done for you. Do not allow them to win. That is what you need to know. This is Heru Heinous. I love y'all.